So the film 1917 just came out and I just saw it, and in the spirit of that film, we're going to do a one-shot, no cuts vlog where I go all the way to my car talking about it without cutting. And boy, am I excited. Alright, to start things off. Oh, well that turned out to be way harder than it looked. Yeah, I guess the whole one-shot thing is not really for me. Maybe with a bit of practice I can be the next Sam Mendes, but for right now, let's stick to typical vlog fashion. I guess I just teleported to my car. That's cool. 1917. Now, as you've all probably heard, 1917 is like one of the most unique films that has come out this year. Well, it's 2020, but it premiered in festivals back in 2019, but it's in the public. It is one of the most unique and visually breathtaking films I've ever seen. And it's not even because they have one of the most critically acclaimed cinematographers on their hands, but the film was also written and directed to be a one-shot, no-cut film. Ooh, it's getting cold. This is a film that instantly catches the eye of the viewer, not just because it's got a great compelling story that is incredibly tense and heart-pounding, but it catches you just right off the bat with its one-shot, handheld adventure that you're going on. And everything about it, the craft and the storytelling comes together, and the entire time while watching the film, I was completely blown away by what I was seeing, and not only that, but the experience kind of transcended reality in a way where I forgot I was in a theater. I was like constantly looking at the screen, like the whole time. Like I never for a moment, except for the one time that one guy next to me was on a cell phone. But I digress. It was still bloody amazing. It was great. This film, more than any other film I've seen, really feels like an adventure that the viewer is a part of, because we're taken along this journey with these two soldiers, and we can really get a good sense of where we are and what's going on in the film, because it's like we're looking over their shoulder basically the entire time. It's so amazing. It's so revolutionary and breathtaking and awesome, and it has to be seen in theaters. Alright, I don't want to hear, no, I'll wait for it to come to Netflix or anything, because this is like the first and probably, maybe, quite possibly, hot take here, the best film that is going to come out of 2020, and we're like 2 weeks into it. That might be rash of me to say, and hey, I hope I'm wrong, because if the films are getting better than this, then this is going to be a gosh darn good year for 2020. Now it's time for me to start my venture home as I transition back up to my house, and we carry on with the more in-depth non-spoiler review. We shall be back in 3, 2, 1, whoop. I have no idea why I'm wearing this fit. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to my in-depth non-spoiler review of 1917.
If you don't get there in time, we will lose 1,600 men. Your brother among them. Good luck.
Now, I've actually had a couple of days to think about this film. I saw it 2 days ago, and I'm really grateful for this, because the more I think about it, the more I can't stop raving about it. Oh my gosh, I loved this film. Now, I mentioned a lot in my vlog that it's incredible because of the way it's filmed, the craft. It was shot to seem like it is a continuous, long-running shot with no cuts. There have been films that have had really extended, long sequences, and even films like Birdman, which is probably the closest to this film that we've had in the past that I'm aware of, where Birdman was almost like one continuous shot, but it was set in a theater. But this is like so much greater than not to diminish Birdman. That film is incredible for its own reasons, but this film, it's so different, and it's so much more grand and epic, and it has just this clear sense of adventure that Birdman just like doesn't have. Now, what sets this film apart from other films that use crazy techniques as just a marketing scam and a gimmick and whatnot to get you to just come see the movie and to sell tickets? Well, I'd say that the biggest way this film, or the one-shot technique, is impactful to this film is its storytelling. The story is relatively simple. You got two men, one of them has a brother in a battalion that's about to walk into a trap with his with his squadron, and the two of them, the brother and the medic, have to basically just go across what once was German enemy lines and navigate through German territory to basically call off this attack. Pretty straightforward, but the way that the craft kind of deepens this ideology is that as a moviegoer, we are brought in on that experience. It's like we're that third guy walking behind or in front of them the whole time, experiencing this film with them, and because of that, it makes certain scenes more intense. You know, the action sequences feel so much more intense because we're right there with them. We can only see, for the most part, what they see. So a lot of the times when you hear shots from the distance, we never know where it's coming from, and that, in a sense, makes it more intense because we're along with the character. We experience the film with them. And then another thing is that cuts are used for more than getting from one place to another and showing certain stuff. Every shot is building towards something. Every shot has a purpose. And when the shots continue on for as long as they do in this film, it becomes this mystery in your brain, like, oh gosh, what is this building to? What is the climax of this shot that we are in that's going to carry us into the next sequence? And it's really thrilling to be a part of that, because once we're in these intense scenes where our heroes are running from danger or charging into danger, it's so thrilling and heart-pounding because the scene keeps going and going and going, and it's like it just never lets up for you. And then the one-shot technique also makes the more intimate scenes even better because it's happening in real time. You know, we're experiencing emotions with this character almost like we're watching a live broadcast, kind of. It's really, really beautiful, and the way the pacing of the film is put together, you know, we have intense action scenes broken apart by very small character interactions, is also just a really awesome thing in this film. Now, I want to talk about Sam Mendes. Sam Mendes wrote this film, co-wrote it, and then he also directed the film. I haven't seen too much of his work other than Skyfall. I've seen some clips and stuff like that, but from what I can tell, this is probably his best feature. He's definitely in the running for Best Director here. One thing that's really, really cool for me, at least, to notice is the activity behind and around like the subjects and even the camera, because basically in life you expect a certain continuity, you know, things to be in the same place at a certain time, before and after an event, or you expect things to behave a certain way in real life. And due to this little trick of it trying to maintain a one-shot film, it's really neat to see things like people working on stuff in the background as we move through these elaborate sets. For instance, there's a part in the film where a flare is shot in the air, and the camera pans around to our characters who are doing something, and then it pans back around to show them from a different angle, and way back in the distance we can see that flare just continuing on, and it really helps sell this continuous notion of a shot that goes on forever and ever, you know. And as a filmmaker, that was really cool to see, because it's something that I haven't personally seen done to this degree, and it inspires me to want to experiment more with my own work and do something that maybe it won't work, but hey, it could also be something really, really gosh darn cool. And stuff like that really sets Sam Mendes apart from other directors. And then also Roger Deakins, who's the cinematographer in this, is outstanding. This is probably his best work in his entire career, a highlight for sure. The cinematography is so fluid, and everything is like beautifully planned. I cannot imagine how much planning went into like these type of shots. I mean, for those of you who don't understand like how a film can be like one shot, it's not one shot. It's a lot of really long takes that have hidden cuts in them. So maybe something will wipe across the screen, or someone will pass across the screen and they'll use that as like a way of wiping, or the camera will tilt down to something and then it will remain stationary, and then it'll tilt up. In that stationary moment there's a cut. It's stuff like that that it's places like that where you can hide cuts, but it's never been this fluid in a film before, and a large part of that is due to Roger Deakins and how much he planned out his shots and worked with Sam Mendes to create the most stunning picture. And some of these shots, I don't even know how they did it, like moving from location to location and going from handheld to steady is really cool. And I'd love to see some behind the scenes footage and B-roll of just how some of this stuff was done, because it blew my mind. And then I also have to give a shout out to George McKay and D. Charles Chapman, who are the two leads in the film. These guys do a great job. It's really hard memorizing lines for takes that last this long. When I was in acting class, or even in some of the videos that I've tutored, I can barely remember like 5 lines, let alone like blocking and more deep stuff like body language. That stuff is like so difficult to do. And like I said, these takes are like, you have really long takes that are like cut, that are like strung together in secretive ways. And a very large part of this film is just a bunch of really long one-shot takes, and that's really hard to pull off for actors, and these guys do a fantastic job. I don't want to say too much more about this film because I think the best way to learn more about it is to just go see it. You have no excuse if you haven't seen it yet. You need to get your butt to a theater and experience this film right now, because it's cinema magic. It's something that I'm definitely going to take people to go see. I love the hell out of this film, and I gotta say, it's going to be hard for 2020 to top this, but like I said earlier, I'm looking forward to it, because if we can, it's going to be one heck of a year. What a way to start 2020. Stay tuned for more reviews, and have a good one.